In Project 4, the objective is to determine the appropriate decision statements to solve a problem. So you'll be working with decision statements like if statements and switch statements in this project. The problem you're going to solve is to calculate the total cost of tickets to enter a theme park based on the information entered by the user and the information that I am going to provide for you in this video. At the very end, you will display a breakdown of the individual charges or discounts making up the total cost. So the scenario is this. It is purchasing tickets for a theme park based on this information you see here. The first thing you must do is to display a menu to the user, much like the one that I have here. The prices per ticket in your program must be the same and the discount rate must be the same. So what you'll notice is I have a statement here that says you will receive a 5% discount if you are now or have been in the military. Then a menu displays with options 1 through 5. Option 1, family of 4 at $130. Option 2, family of 5 for $155. And then option 3, a family of 6 for $198. And you'll notice that for each of these, I have a breakdown of adults, children, and senior adults. If none of these apply, then you give the user the option of buying the tickets individually. And then finally, you give them the option of exiting your program. So you must prompt the user to enter in their choice. Now here I use numeric values, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 for my menu. You may use alphanumeric, so you can do a lettered menu system if you prefer. That's up to you. So the user will first select one of the options from the menu. They may enter a 1, a 2, or a 3. If they enter the 1, 2, or 3, the baseline cost is the cost that was stated in the menu. So for example, let me go back for a moment. If they choose option 1, their subtotal is $130, right? $130. On the other hand, if they choose option 4, you will need to present them with more information. The additional information you need to present them with is here, the price per ticket per category. So for children 4 to 10, the price is $24. For adults and children 11 and up, $44, and then for seniors 65 and up, $40. Okay, and so then what you must ask your user is to enter in the number of tickets for children. So here I'm displaying here a sample prompt and sample input data. So this is just a sample run of my code, right? Enter the number of tickets for children 4 to 10. I put in a 1. Enter number of adult tickets. I put in 2. And then enter number of senior tickets. In this example, I put in a 0. You're going to need to capture and store each one of these values in their own variables. Once you have that information, now you can calculate the subtotal for that individual ticket choice. So the subtotal is calculated by taking the number of tickets times the price that you displayed, plus the number of adult tickets times the adult price, plus number of senior tickets times senior price, right? So you add all of these together and you now have a subtotal. And so at this point in your logic, you have a subtotal cost regardless of which package they chose, right? There's one number now going forward. The one thing I didn't mention is if the user selects option 5, you'll need to end your code. So you may add this logic where you display a statement that says program ending, and then using exit -1, this will terminate execution of your code. Okay, so that's in the option 5 scenario. Now, as I was saying earlier though, if you have your subtotal, you can go on to ask for additional input. Ask the user if they are now or have been in the military. And typically the way we would read this, take a look at my sample here, my sample prompt, and here's my sample input. The data type of something like this would be a char, and you would ask the user to enter in a Y or an N. then you would go on to determine what your discount rate is, right? So if military status is equal to yes, your discount rate is equal to 0.05. Otherwise, your discount rate is 0. They don't receive a discount at all. Okay, once you have that information, then you can go ahead and do your final calculations and determine the final cost. So calculate your total cost after the discount by taking the subtotal that we talked about earlier and subtracting the discount amount. Okay, so you're going to apply that 0.05 and you're going to subtract the discount amount. If it's a 0, the discount amount that gets subtracted will be 0. With the new value you have, now apply a tax of 8%. So go ahead and multiply in this 0.08, right? And calculate your tax amount and then add the tax amount back in. And so that's your final cost, right? So you've taken out your discount if there is one and you added in your tax amount. So please display them in this fashion. So what I have here is the ticket cost, then the military discount amount, then the tax amount, and then the final cost. What you can do in your see-out statements here is you can have the string with spaces so that they all end at the same point, right? End them all here. Then put in a set width to give a field size for this value, and the largest you'll need is going to be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. It looks to me, right? We're probably not going to exceed that unless, well, I guess you could if you buy a lot of tickets, right, from the individual ticket part. So maybe give it 7, a set width of 7 to go into the thousands, right? And that should more than accommodate. The other thing I would like you to use is set precision with fixed to force 2 decimal places to show, right? We're dealing with dollars and cents. Okay, and then finally your project requirements. Here nothing has changed. Place your comments at the top of your source code with your name and a brief program description. Place comments throughout your code. Keep variable and constant declarations together. Don't declare your variables in a calculation. I don't want to see that, especially when you have if statements. It starts to get more complicated when you have branching logic. Be sure to use constants where practical. So think about the discount rates. Think about the tax rates. Think about the prices. Those are all good places for a constant. And finally, while the sequence is going to be similar to what we've done in the past, what changes a little bit is this whole idea of branching logic. So I call it evaluate, right? So step 1 will be to declare your variables. And yes, you will have a lot of variables and constants in this program. It's a little longer than what you've done in the past. Next will be to get the data. So part of getting the data is to display the menu and then read the user's selection. Add your decision statement to determine which package is selected, and if the individual tickets option is selected, ask for the number of days per ticket type. So coming out of this logic, you'll have that subtotal. Then going into 3, calculations and evaluations, here add a decision statement for the military status. Then calculate your military discount amount, your tax amount, your final cost, and then finally display. So as in the way I showed you earlier. Okay, so the most important thing when you're working with decision statements is your testing. So make sure that you're testing with different sets of data for all different cases. So make sure you're testing for all options in your menu, for a military discount, for no military discount, right? Just make sure all of that gets covered. And again, if they choose an invalid value, you can use the same logic that you did if they chose option 5, which is, display a statement telling them what's going on, and then just exit 1 to terminate code. Okay. Please read through the assignment requirements. As usual, attach your main.cpp, but do email me if you run into any issues or you have any questions.